Hey everyone, Joshua Kirk here with you once again. Now is time for my annual mid-year video where I share with you guys my favorite albums of the year so far, which, as you can see from the title, it obviously is my favorite albums of 2024 so far, which I have felt to be a pretty solid year for music. A lot of albums I really enjoyed, so much in fact that narrowing it down was definitely pretty tough this year. So because of that, I have 15 albums I'm going to talk about that are pretty much my core favorites so far. But I also have 5 honorable mentions, albums that almost made it into this 15. But even though they didn't quite make it in, I think they're still great albums and that I think you should check them out for yourselves. So let's start with the honorable mentions, before we get to my favorites of the year so far. Iglooghost, Tidal Memory EXO, Adrianne Lenker, Bright Future, Ekko Astral, Pink Balloons, Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, and finally, Kim Gordon, The Collective. Those are my honorable mentions. Now time for my favorite albums of the year so far. Kicking things off is one of the biggest pop albums of the year, it seems. That is Charli XCX with BRAT. Really fantastic album, probably Charli's best record so far. Great production, songwriting, performances, really strong hooks. Charli is really leaning into her house music ethos on this album, and I think doing wonders with it in the process, and yeah. This record's fantastic. There's really nothing I could say about this record that hasn't already been said by other people. Yeah, I'm all in on this BRAT summer craze that is going on right now. Next is the sophomore album from folk rock supergroup Fantastic Cat. Now that's what I call Fantastic Cat. Just a really fun, catchy songs with a lot of personality, emotion, definitely a cohesive, focused piece of work too. Really like how this album flows seamlessly from track to track. All 4 of their members really have a lot of talent as songwriters and singers and in general collaborators. Great album, definitely fantastic, and a really gorgeous album cover too. Next is the new Vampire Weekend album, Only God Was Above Us. I really feel this record to be a true return to form for the New York indie rock vets. From the songwriting, some of the best that I've heard on a Vampire Weekend album, some of Ezra's strongest vocal performances, probably the most unique sound the band has worked with. It's dusty, lo-fi, but also very grand and well mixed and mastered as well. Just a contender for probably the best indie rock album of 2024 so far, and yeah, please check it out. It rules. But probably one of the most just mind-melting musical experiences that I've had this year, and maybe the only truly escapist album that we're talking about in here, is the Def's Dynamic Shroud and Galen Tipton record, You Like Music. Like, geez, this record just sounds like a bunch of great 80s vaporwave synth pop jams put through this musical meat grinder, and what comes out of it is a record that is definitely kind of unsettling and off-kilter, but also just a ton of fun and very colorful as well. Just the grooves, the beats, the melodies, it just hits really hard from start to finish, and the energy just never really lets up throughout its very trim runtime and kind of concise track list. Yeah, this thing is wild. Please check it out. Guaranteed, you're gonna have a reaction of some sort to it. Now we got a couple of great hardcore records that I want to talk about. The first one being the new One Step Closer record, All You Embrace. Just really great pop punk, melodic hardcore, emo. Definitely not the most inventive stuff you're going to hear for rock music, but still just a really quality songwriting, great hooks, fantastic energy, production, and performances are punchy. And yeah, this thing is just a real banger of a record. As is the new Knocked Loose record, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To, which is basically at the other end of hardcore, the aggressive, heavy, just vicious sounding, kind of metal leaning side of it. But yeah, just intense vocals, powerful drumming, killer riffs, some of the melodic touches definitely give it a nice bit of nuance as well. Very interesting in terms of the song structures too, and the songwriting is actually really great on this album too. So yeah, if you are a big fan of this kind of hardcore, definitely check that one out. Now we're gonna move into some country and Americana with this next record. That is Adeem the Artist with Anniversary. Definitely very progressive, inclusive country, I would say, with a lot of its love songs and kind of stories about identity and really finding yourself. A lot of great politically charged songs on here too. Adeem, I think, really outdid themselves on this record since getting more attention and hype with their last record. This record is certainly slicker and a bit more focused than their last record. Like, it's clear that Adeem really had the album as a whole in mind with this one, and with that came through a lot of great songs, and yeah, I think they're really a breath of fresh air for modern country music, for this current kind of strain of it in the indie field. And now on to a record in similar territory, that is Lizzie No's Halfsies. This record is certainly genre-defying. I would say the songs do everything from kind of 90s alt-rock to folk music, country, a bit of like sort of semi-progressive kind of jazzy stuff here and there too. But even with this record being kind of all over the place, it still feels like a very tight piece of work, and it never loses momentum throughout its kind of efficient pace and runtime. And yeah, I think them and their collaborators really put a lot of very gorgeous sounds to tape. Songwriting and singing is really on point as well. Yeah, this record's amazing. It definitely deserves more attention at this point. Speaking of kind of genre-bending singer-songwriter records in 2024, shout out to the newest Chelsea Wolfe record, She Reaches Out to She, which I definitely feel like artists in the indie field kind of bringing together trip-hop and industrial rock with kind of very dark, but also kind of sort of very awe-inspired kind of lyrics. Yeah, I think this is kind of a new cool trend we're seeing with some artists in 2024. And yeah, this record is just incredible. Really fantastic songs. The sound of it pretty much had me hooked right from the first listen. And yeah, I could definitely see maybe even people who don't really listen to a lot of goth rock leaning stuff really getting into this record too, because I think it's really well done. But now we gotta talk about my favorite album of 2024 so far, hands down. That is Mannequin Pussy with I Got Heaven, which I really feel like this rock band really outdid themselves with this record. They've really come into their own in terms of the songwriting, the sound of this record. It's like raw and just the right amount of heavy, but also some great kind of softer, nuanced touches to this record as well, with Missy kind of doing more singing and certain songs kind of diving into more of a sort of melodic indie rock sound, but it's still full of rage, still very in your face and full of catharsis, and yeah, it's just one of the most triumphant rock records I've heard in recent memory. So yeah, check this record out. Mannequin Pussy forever. Next is the new Waxahatchee record, Tiger's Blood. I think Katie might have made her magnum opus with this record. A great culmination of kind of the rootsier Americana sound that she's been working with for a better part of the 2020s. And kind of the urgency from when she was more in that indie rock vein. And there's even elements of maybe her earlier, more singer-songwriter work that have pretty much been improved over time, as this record proves. A really nice sound, very sick guitar playing from MJ Lenderman on here. And yeah, I think she just really went for it on this album. Just one lyrical nugget of genius after another on here, and yeah, this record's incredible. But probably the most obscure record that I feel like I'm talking about today is the debut from Brian K. and the Parkway, Killing the Bear, which so far might be probably my favorite Heartland rock album of the year. This record kind of pays homage to Springsteen, maybe not so much the 80s Born in the USA period, more like his 70s run, even before Born to Run, which obviously, if you want to hear sort of more in-depth discussion about this record, check out my interview I did with Brian Pagels recently, and yeah, this record's fantastic. Great songwriting, really like some of the structures on here, killer guitar playing on this album too. Yeah, it's just an awesome debut. Following that, we have probably one of the best kind of artsy records, bringing together rock and soul and a bit of like dance music that I've heard this year. That is Brittany Howard's What Now, in which the Alabama Shakes front woman pretty much really goes into herself like in the most authentic way that she possibly could, in terms of vocally. She's really just taking a lot of chances on this record, just absolutely stunning for sure. And just really quality songwriting. The sound of this record is just really beautiful, and love how kind of semi-spiritual it feels at points. And yeah, this record is really Brittany kind of at her most ambitious so far, and it might even outdo some of her efforts with Alabama Shakes. And because I think it's probably her best project to date so far. I'm really happy that she made the progression that she did here. Next is probably one of the most talked about debut albums from a new rock band from the UK in 2024. That is The Last Dinner Party with Prelude to Ecstasy. Like, this record is just fantastic, theatrical, kind of rock music. It definitely has a bit of an old school vibe, reminiscent of like Queen or David Bowie, but it also just feels very contemporary with the really lush production from James Ford, as well as the songwriting, and yeah, just really great vocal performances. A lot of these songs have been on repeat and stuck in my head for a good part of the year, and I just think it manages to just be very real and from the heart in terms of the emotions going into it, which I think is the case for really a lot of records so far in 2024. For like even stuff like this that kind of leans on being kind of like a stage performance, definitely still has just a real kind of yeah, rawness in terms of kind of, you know, the feelings that it evokes. And finally, we have Cheekface with the album It's Sorted. Just one of the best indie rock albums of the year, in my opinion. It's very irreverent, hilarious, but again, also very real and kind of, yeah, depressing at points in terms of a lot of its lyrics. And yeah, there's just one quotable after another on here, and on top of that, sick production, and really solid hooks, a nice tight listen. Like, I really think this is the first album they've made that where they really had just the whole package in mind while making it, and yeah, it's just loaded with bangers and yeah, I've really progressively warmed up to this band's style with the more they've been putting out material, like even Greg Katz's talk singing has really kind of grown on me the more that they've been working. Yeah, this record rules. And there you have it. Those are my favorite albums of 2024 so far. Please check out any records in this video that you haven't yet, but really check all these records out. In my opinion, they're all great and fantastic. I've been really pleased with this year so far, and excited for whatever the second half of 2024 gives us. Obviously, there's some albums coming out next few months that I'm already excited about. So yeah, I'm thrilled to hear that, and also see whatever surprises come my way as well. So I think that's all I got to say. This is Joshua Kirk, signing off.